I am so excited and grateful to be sitting here with one of the most important people in my lives, which is my mother. After 2 years of not being together, and since I left Los Angeles, she's now here in Portugal in our home after, what is it, 10 days?
I believe so.
10 days of so much fun,
Yep.
of adventure, of celebrating your 60th birthday. And my intention has been to just sit down and have a conversation, a healing conversation that not just serves us, but that can serve other mother-daughter dynamics who have struggled and who yearn for deeper connection, to know that there is hope, because I remember there being a time where I wanted to be close with her, and I know she would say, I just want to be your best friend, and it just didn't ever seem like that was possible for us. So to be able to sit here and have this conversation, I think, is a wonderful blessing. So take what resonates with you, leave what doesn't, and share this with someone who you believe can benefit from having a heart-to-heart conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in.
So we're here with Ruby, Mama Tere. Thank you for taking the time to sit with each other and have a conversation, mother to daughter, daughter to mother. How are you feeling right now?
Very blessed. Very blessed.
Happy and nervous.
How did it feel to see each other in person after not being together for over 2 years, or for close to 2 years? For you first.
For me, it's like to enter to heaven again because she's my angel. She's my love.
And how about you, Ruby?
After 2 years of not seeing each other, it's felt surreal. Can I have tissue?
I love you both.
After 2 years of not seeing each other, it's felt surreal and like a huge blessing, a huge leap and milestone. I feel really grateful, because even though it's the longest time that we've spent apart from each other physically, on a different level, it's the closest we've ever been. And it's also like it feels to me like monumental, because it's like we're here celebrating her 60th birthday and I'm 30 and I'm exactly half her age. And so it's felt really special.
Mama Tere, 30 years ago, Ruby was a baby. What was it like bringing her into this world, and what are some of the most important things you'd say about her childhood?
¿Lo puedo decir en español?
Yeah, you can say.
Para mí ha sido, Ruby, cuando nació Ruby, era, obviamente la habíamos esperado con mucho amor. Fue una niña siempre muy deseada. Tenerla en mis brazos era como tener un ángel, aunque ella era tan pequeña, tan frágil, tan diferente. Fue una experiencia extraordinaria. Y de su niñez puedo decir que ella siempre fue una niña muy determinada. Una niña que siempre sabía lo que quería. Yo creo que eso eran siempre aunque quise siempre que fuera como una mariposa, que ella se transformara con el tiempo, con los años. Ella siempre tenía algo, siempre ha tenido algo especial, que ella hace que las cosas sucedan. Y a mí eso siempre me llamó la atención de ella porque era una niña que siempre buscaba el porqué de las cosas. Y yo creo que cuando uno busca el porqué de las cosas es porque tiene interés en la vida, en las cosas que hace, le pone atención a lo que hace, porque nadie que no quiera hacer las cosas diferentes va a preguntar por qué. Tengo muy buenos recuerdos de ella, una niña muy cariñosa, muy dulce, servicial siempre. Siempre era muy atenta, ha sido muy atenta. Tengo una anécdota de ella cuando estaba muy pequeña y Samuel nació. Estaba llorando y era un bebé y dijo, ya no está llorando, ya le di algo para que se calmara y le había dado un pedazo de manzana y lo tenía atragantado el niño. Entonces allí descubrí que ella, como diera lugar, ella buscaba una solución para todo.
What did you hear?
I heard that I was very determined. I always asked for the why behind things of life, which to me was interesting because it's a lot of the things that I have done a lot of work to discover about myself, because there's a lot of my childhood I don't remember, that I've been of service and loving and determined, and that she has always seen me and like wanted for me to be like a butterfly who always is constantly transforming. And that's also interesting to me because when I first started on my journey to discover myself, somebody once asked me, well, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal or something? And that was like when I was really lost and depressed and anxious, and I didn't know what that was for me. And slowly I started to discover that. And the butterfly for me was something that was like really grounding and connecting, and I felt a lot of symbolism in. And so to hear that, it's really affirming, and yeah, I feel really seen in her reflection.
Beautiful. Now that you are approximately the same age as your mother when she had you, what are some of the things you can say that you see in her that you might not have seen when you were younger or when you were growing up?
Oh my gosh, so much. There's so much that I share this a lot with Jeff, of how amazed I am and grateful. I have a lot of memories of like all that she would sacrifice to help us, and even if in those times we didn't exactly understand each other, you did so much for us. And I'm really grateful for how you never gave up. And I think it's really amazing how creative you are and how you can alchemize and transform things. You've really shown me what true compassion and forgiveness is. And some of the things that I couldn't see is just like, how you, I mean, at that point, she's now caring for 2 children and navigating herself and a marriage that wasn't really super strong or stable, and in a new country. And so I I really admire your strength.
Thank you.
Mama Tere, what were some of the challenges unique to raising your children in a new country, in a different culture than what you were brought up in? Like, I have a sense that you're very much like any mother figuring it out as she goes, but you're also in another country. What was that like for you?
Well, I think because I came to US in an early age, it didn't really, impact me the way my childhood. All I knew it is that I want something better for them. And culturalmente, nunca tuve duda que mis hijos son mis hijos, no son hijos del gobierno, no son hijos de nadie más, que yo soy la responsable de dejar mi legado con ellos, que ellos son ¿cómo se dice? Ellos son mi huella, la extensión como de mí, y que yo soy responsable de cómo quiero que ellos sean. Y siempre tuve bien presente que mis hijos siempre iban, especialmente cuando ya conocí a Dios, porque realmente Rubin tenía 3 años cuando yo me hice evangélica. Y para mí, desde que supe que era criar los hijos con amor de Dios, con la guianza de Dios, eso definió mi vida, que no tuve duda ni cómo había sido mi infancia. Eso lo tenía bien claro, que por eso vine a los Estados Unidos, para que mis hijos no sufrieran lo mismo que yo sufrí cuando era pequeña, y que cómo ellos iban a ser era lo que yo les iba a enseñar a ellos diferente también. Porque todos tenemos, como madres, queremos siempre hacer lo mejor para nuestros hijos y dejar un legado más allá de lo que nosotros hemos tenido.
For you, did you have a sense of that when you were growing up?
Yes.
And how did that play out? Or how did that
I think
for you?
that I had a sense of it in a different way. I think that back then I couldn't really see the bigness of the leap that she did and the courage that it took her. I definitely feel like I took that for granted. But also, I felt like it was a big responsibility she was trying to carry of, I need to make this human being, like it felt like a lot of pressure for me. And yeah, I know that she wanted the best for us, but I think that nothing really could have prepared us for what that really entailed. And where you grew up, it was like she went from, you guys were very poor. It was like she went from one end of the scale and she took that leap and had the courage to do something better for her future and her children, into the unknown. She didn't know, but she knew she wanted something different. I think that's incredible, and I admire that. And in the middle, it was from 0 to 100. There was really no middle steps, and it was very messy. And so in her culture, it's like you don't leave the house until you're married, or in her religious and beliefs, you don't leave the house until you're married. But here I was going to college, and it was like, you don't leave the house, kind of thing. That was a big part of one of our points of contention. Yeah. So that's how I saw it. It felt like pressure. She wanted to raise us how she believed was the right way, and it didn't feel like there was that much room for our own exploration of things.
How would you say because I know your approach with your children obviously has evolved as they grow, and it sounds like you're giving really trusting them to be themselves, and you've in many ways you're doing the best. We have this sense we're doing the best we can, and then let God take care of the rest.
Correct. Because that's what we're called to do. Teach them, instruct them with the Word of God. And it's up to them until today if they want to follow that. But for that time, it was my responsibility to do that, as all parents should do, instruct their kids in the right path. But going back to what she said, it was like, I know it was pressure. And when you want something good in your life, it's like food. This is how I picture my kids' life. We want something good, it's cooked slowly. You want something fast, you put it in the microwave. But at the end of the day, what is healthy for you? Whatever didn't have that pressure, because in reality, I was forming them, their character, and that's not easy for anybody. It wasn't pleasant for me to be that hard on them too, but I knew it that since they born, I always said, I am so grateful that I have very smart kids that they can pick up really quick and they know what they're doing. And until today, I have that, confidence. I'm trust that they really smart. If whatever they do wrong, it's not because they don't know how to do it. It's because they want to do it. I don't know if that answered your question. Yeah. Okay.
You mentioned your mother coming here and the courage that required from her, and you close to 30, and you moved to another country too, under very different circumstances. How do you see the parallels in that, and how do you see the imprint of your mother's desire to create a better life for you? And you can see, like, you got to go to another country more by choice, more by comfort, more by different circumstances than how she went to a different country. Can you reflect on that?
I feel like moving here
In Portugal.
to Portugal really, I think it was one of the things that helped me see and put into perspective what she had done. Because even though there is the comfort, I know English, but English isn't the main spoken language here. It's Portuguese. So there was the language barrier, and there was also not having much of a support system outside of us, which even that in of itself is already a lot. But when I first moved here, I just thought, wow, like I know how to drive. Like she didn't even know how to drive when she moved. So when I moved here to Portugal, I think that was one of the things that really helped me in a way put myself in her shoes and put things into perspective of how big that leap was, and in a way I kind of did also do it illegally, to know that feeling of you can't really go back home yet because I'm still in the process of getting my visa. So even that feeling of being in a way kept from your family and from the familiarities and the things that you know, it brought me a deep appreciation for what you did. Thank you for doing what you needed to do.
When was it that you started to notice the importance of your relationship with your parents and your intention to heal that relationship, especially with your dad? I would say I would start with your dad first, and then also, becoming closer with your mom. When was it that you wanted to become closer with your dad?
I think I've always wanted to be close with my dad because he was someone who was in and out of my life. She was always there. So he always kind of felt like this mystery or this thing for me to get a grasp on. Whereas my mom being there, like I said, there was a time where I took her presence and all that she's done for granted. But it really wasn't until after I graduated, my whole childhood experiences is what led me to study psychology, because we all experienced a quite traumatic experience. And as a family unit, my two brothers and my mom. And I was very fascinated by how different each of us interpreted, experienced, and moved on from that experience. So that's what led me to study that. And it was after I graduated where I no longer had the distraction of schools or being in a relationship that it was like I was by myself, that I started to become curious around the roles that I played and my connection with them. And that's when I was beginning to be more curious about her as a human being rather than being in the role of a mother, of my mother, and the expectations that I might have had of a mother should do this, is when I started to let all of that go and just be more curious. And it was not easy. It has not been easy from the beginning, but the more and more that I let go of those expectations, it's like you open yourself for more than you can even imagine if you just stay curious and open to meet somebody in that moment instead of have some kind of story or expectation.
Ruby's dad, there was a very challenging period for you all. Ultimately, he goes to jail and gets deported back to El Salvador. Have you forgiven him?
Oh, yes, with all my heart.
Can you talk to us about forgiveness and what does that mean for you as a person and what does it mean for your family that you forgive him?
Forgiveness is the key of your happiness, of pretty much everything, because if you don't forgive others, it's literally live with that person, hold it to that person. And there was a time that I really, in my heart, I was have that desire that one day he can come to me and ask me for forgiveness. But every time I pray, I ask God, how can I forgive him? If I never have that chance to, he comes to me and asks me for forgiveness. And you know, God, when we ask him for wisdom, that's the wisdom he gives us. That I pray and I say it aloud. I forgive this man for por todo lo que me haya hecho. And at this point, I don't have that necessity because I already forgive him. It's a gift that I give to myself to forgive him. So, yeah, yeah. It is very important to, I don't think there's, and forgiveness is a lifetime work because sometimes we feel like we're fine, we're okay, but there's going to be few situations or moments that it's like, I don't know, maybe I can picture this like a box that you put all offense and like rip it on the paper and put it in the box, and then all of a sudden you pick up one and say, oh, I forgive this. Oh, I haven't forgive this one. So that's how it's a lifetime. And so, but yeah, for me, it is done. And that's something that I always want for them. And Ruby knows that better.
Yeah, I always share with people how grateful I am for your example of that, because from when we were young, I can remember that she always said, the truth always comes out. And she never tried to pin us against him. Like, she never tried to make a case of, see, this is why he's such a bad person. She never did that. Like, she always was, he's your father at the end of the day. Yes, there were moments of care. We need to put our safety first. But yeah, she would also tell us that not forgiving or like harboring things is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to have it, when really it's yourself, that if you don't let that go, you're the one poisoning yourself.
You mentioned earlier about the profound effect that had witnessing everybody's different experience and how they respond. When did you start to see your mother as a person over a mom and her role? And can you go deeper into how that started to shape you as a person and also your relationship with your mom?
For me, it was really when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and they have you do, I can't remember the name of the exercise.
To do with the mask?
Maybe the masks. I can't remember exactly, but I know that it was during my yoga teacher training, that it was for both my dad and from her. Oh, it was something along the lines of learning what love means and how you believe to receive love, or how did you learn to receive love. And you write down, like, to receive love from your dad, what did you need to do? To receive love from your mom, what did you need to do? And to begin to see like certain patterns there. And I went through a range of emotions, because I realized what I had written was like, for my dad, I just had to cry or beg, and he would just like kind of be like, he was uncomfortable with emotions. And I think for him, was his love language was gift giving, and he thought that if he just gave you whatever you wanted, that's how he could buy your love in a way. So if I would just cry or something, it was just like, hush hush, like, here's what you want. And then with her, I felt like I needed to be and do all of these great things that were in accordance with her, but even if they didn't feel right to me. And so then I started to really like unravel all of that. And I at one point, that led me to realize that I was putting myself in a sort of victim mindset and position. And that's when I said no more. Like, I'm not going to continue to give my power away to even my parents, or to these circumstances, or to my past experiences. And I started to take back, what does it mean for me to love me, or for me to feel that love? And once I started to be able to reassure myself and feed myself that, and also connect with God to feel that unconditional love that you cannot get from anybody else, anything outside of you, is that I would start to feel that wholeness, that I didn't need to have it from a mother, and I could let go of those expectations. And at some point I did need to grieve and be okay with that, like that was what my experiences were, and that's what they need. I couldn't go back and change them. So to accept them, and to begin to see how they were happening, how they happened for me, like what treasures can I go back and get from that and harness it.
Well, Tere, you talked about the role of responsibility and taking responsibility. Can you speak more about that? And did you notice when Ruby started to take more responsibility, did you feel that shift? Or how did you feel that shift in her?
When you have so much over your shoulders, I think that I did so many things wrong. But one of the things that I was clear for me is to keep them safe and try my best of, to raise them. And I come from a family that, yeah, I sometimes we think we do we want to do something different for our kids, but it's, how to say, es inevitable.
Inevitable.
Es inevitable que uno no traiga de los padres para los hijos. Eso es imposible. No traer algo de los padres y ponerlo en los hijos. Pero creo que la responsabilidad de de darles un lugar donde vivir y qué comer, me perdí de el amor, que hubiese sido más importante para ellos. Aunque el amor estaba, pero nunca he sido una persona quizás como ella lo esperaba. Siempre creí y creo que a veces los retos que vivimos en la vida nos forman para la vida dura. Y yo siempre le dije, recuerdo en una ocasión que ella lloraba mucho para todo. Y obviamente era, era parte del proceso que estábamos viviendo. Era mucho. Divorcio, pelea por la custodia, no tener trabajo para ese entonces. Fue en el 2008, donde todo estaba mal. Y ella solo lloraba y lloraba para todo. Y recuerdo que le dije, ay, Rubí, ven para acá. Y mírame. ¿Me miras a mí que no quiero llorar? Ella me vio así con los ojos llenos de agua y me dijo, sí. Y le dije yo, si llorando se arreglan las cosas, yo llorara todo el día. Pero llorar no es la solución. Yo creo que hasta yo me tragué lágrimas, me tragué amor. Y en ese trayecto a mí no se me olvidó, simplemente es como cuando está haciendo mucho viento, que lo que
You're in
tú quieres
survival mode.
es avanzar.
Yeah.
No importa lo que tengas que hacer, tú quieres avanzar. No importa si te caes o qué tengas que hacer, pero tú quieres seguir para adelante. No te dejas que el viento te bote. Eso era lo que para mí en ese entonces era. Creo que esa es la parte que los afectó a todos ellos, a todos. Y sí. Esas son las cosas por las cuales creo que Dios nos da la oportunidad de que a veces no quisiéramos como madres que los hijos se fueran lejos o que nos distanciáramos, pero yo siempre pienso que las relaciones son como una herida. Si cada vez que nos hacemos una herida vamos y la miramos cómo está, nunca sana. Pero si la dejamos allí, le damos su tiempo, va a haber un día en que va a sanar y la vamos a abrir y entonces va a estar bien. Y creo que así es nuestra relación ahora, que como dicen, el espacio que te di, lloré, me has hecho mucha falta y me sigues haciendo falta, pero yo sé que ha sido por tu bien y para mi bien, porque eso es parte también del amor, dar el espacio para que otro crezca. Eso lo aprende uno y creo que estas lágrimas son las que hacen crecer ese amor. El amor, porque no son lágrimas de odio, de desamor, sino porque uno ama. Y solo creo que cuando uno sabe que es amar y llorar es cuando uno le da el sentido a la vida.
How do you relate to what your mom shared, and is there anything different or that you'd say in your own words about how you use responsibility as a way to empower yourself?
There was something she mentioned around when we were younger and things were tough that I would cry a lot. I was always sensitive, and there's a story that she often shares. I don't remember doing it, but she said that when we would drive or to put myself to sleep, that I would pull on the very little hair that I had and just go like, and now knowing what I know about like somatics and nervous system, like I was regulating myself. And yeah, I remember being told a lot from when I was a little girl. But you're so beautiful, you shouldn't cry. Now when I look back, it's like the two have nothing to do with each other. Because you're beautiful has nothing to do with what you feel like. But also when she said that in that time in 2008 where she sat me down and that I just would cry a lot. And she said that if crying was to solve things, that she would cry all day, but that it doesn't. And when it comes to responsibility and what she said about love, and in her response to what you asked her about responsibility, she took responsibility for not having done it all. Like maybe there was the missing piece of the love and presence. Like there was love, and the reality, like you like to say, is that you were in survival mode, and she just was trying to get out. And so in that, it was like anything else that was not food and a roof over our heads was not really prioritized. So in her taking that responsibility, I think that that's beautiful. And even if she didn't, I'm very grateful that I can take responsibility and know that my emotions are my responsibility. And for some people, they may be too much. For some people, it might not be enough. And I think that when you know how to process and work with this sort of energy, that there's nothing more liberating and empowering when you can be responsible for your experience, your emotions, and how you remember the meaning you make of something. Because I could have easily made a meaning of what she just said and then been like in blame and say it's all your fault. And then it's like, where do I get out of that, and where does she get from that? Like we would be in the same thing, like just down each other's throats, you know? We wouldn't be here. And that's what she was saying, that these are the tears that heal, you know, like these are the tears that she feels are worth it, because it's what brings us closer, because it's not from hate or from lack or anything, but it's from understanding and wanting to be closer and loving.
How would you say the last 2 years have brought you closer together? I'll get you both to answer, but Ruby first.
The last 2 years have brought us closer together. I think even before that, we had already started to try to work on our connection.
Also, what did that trying look like?
The trying, it looked like space, but in that but it was like we would give each other space, but it was like then I think because we knew that if there was a birth, and this is very common in Hispanic culture, I think, like if it's somebody's birthday, then and I know it was big in our family, that it's like you just come together again and it's like nothing ever happened. And to me, that was very disorienting. Something happened, my feelings were hurt, your feelings were hurt, and now we just have a dinner together and we celebrate this other person's life. Like that to me didn't sit right with me. So I think that there was the space, but maybe there was still a little bit of, I think for me on my part, it was, and maybe for you too, I don't know, it was like, I want to get this right. And that like, I want to get this right, the same pressure or force was still trying to force some kind of outcome or something different. And we're now thousands of miles apart, 8-hour time difference apart. There's really nothing else that you can do other than accept. And I think how the saying of distance makes the heart grow fonder or something like that. I don't know, I didn't really think of that like that before. Like even when you and I were dating, and we were long distance, I really think that it was what we were working towards. I think that we both had the desire. The trying was that we both had the desire to want something different, but we were both still trying to force it in our own way of how we thought it could be. And now it's like we kind of just let it go, or I let it go, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. And yeah, like being in that position of knowing that, wow, this is similar to what she went through, and being in a deeper understanding and appreciation of her, that I feel has really brought us closer in these last 2 years. And that looks like, I think we message more often than before, even if it's just a quick hi, I hope you have a good day. Sometimes we talk. It's letting go of that. Even maybe she might not understand everything that I'm doing, and for me to not take that personal, but I know and I feel her support towards that. Whereas before, it was like I would get triggered by her questioning. She would try to want to understand what I'm doing, and I took that as like her questioning my ability or judgment to do something. So I feel way more supported. Yeah.
Thank you. And then for you, Mama Tere, 2 years being farther apart, and how is that, how have you felt that that has brought you closer and more connected with Ruby?
It had been a process that I have to, like she mentioned that before that I have places and that every time I pass by, I say, I've been here with Ruby, and thank God for that, because she always was like, let's go for breakfast, let's go for lunch, even if she knows that I don't like to go to the restaurants. And I will never forget the day that she showed up at my work at Samara's house with something to eat. And that means a lot for me, because nobody, I mean, for me to go to see Ruby come to my job and with lunch, it means a lot to me. Because for a long time we, I don't know, I think because she's strong and very, in bien independiente, we always, with my kids, I think the three of them are very strong, and we always bounce because that. And I completely understand what she was doing, she was doing yoga classes and all that. And as a Christian woman, for me, that's not part of my belief. And I didn't understand the concept of all those things include, because I never been into that field. And I was so scared. And I'm still scared, because I'm very, I'm very committed to God. And I know whatever practices people do outside of what Bible said, for me, it's kind of creepy. And it is that I would lie to you if I said, I agree with this, I agree with that. But I learned that if God, like I told you yesterday, if God, who has his eyes over us, haven't done anything to anybody, he's in charge of the individual. I'm not in charge. I pray and I said, God, I'm sorry I took your place. And I remember that day. I feel the freedom that I don't have to be looking or worried for my kids anymore. Because if I believe that there is a mighty God, he will take care of my kids. I'm not in charge of my kids. I was in charge when they were little. It was my responsibility when they were little to teach them. And I think yo sembré la semilla en ellos. Ahora solamente me queda esperar que esa semilla crezca, brote y que dé los frutos. No es por mí, sino es por Dios. Y para mí it was hard, because I really still feel in charge of them, and it was a lot of people in church who told me, and I shared with them and how I feel, and they said, it's not your job. Let them be. God will do all these things clear for you, but it's not up to you. You have to let it go. They will figure out, because God loved them. They're kids, like I said, ellos son niños de Dios. Todos somos niños de Dios, pero hijos solamente el que le recibe. Y mis hijos han recibido a Cristo en su corazón. Y eso a mí me da la confianza que ellos tienen a Cristo en su corazón. Y como yo le compartí a usted, es cuando uno tiene a Dios en su corazón y lo deja que la vida Él la guíe, eso es que su barco va por buen final, por buen camino. Uh, but since 2020, I decided that I think the 2020, la pandemia nos enseñó que la vida no es como nosotros pensamos. La vida tiene una dirección, una determinación, un día, y que desde la pandemia todos somos frágiles. Y yo determiné que desde el 2020 era mi último tiempo que estábamos viviendo ya. Los últimos tiempos estamos viviendo y que la última mía, yo no corro maratones, pero me imagino que las personas que corren maratón, la última mía es la más difícil y la tiene que correr con dirección a donde va para llegar al punto final. Y yo soy de las personas que creo que yo estoy corriendo mi última mía y que yo debo de ver bien cómo voy. Yo tengo mi destinación, yo sé dónde voy, nadie me debe de distraer, yo sé dónde voy. Que otro se quede, ese es su problema, pero yo tengo mi destino.
What did you hear?
That she let go of trying to control how our lives are supposed to be or how like what we do, and that from 2020 she's stepped back into her power and reclaimed her power into focusing on herself and not worrying about other people, and yeah, just having that sort of tunnel vision for herself.
Determination. That this is the last mile. That I don't know if it's true or not, but you probably have that experience. The last mile that you run is the hardest one, right? Sometimes. So for me, I never been in your position, but that's for me.
It depends on the race.
And another race, yeah. And if you start looking around, who's behind you,
Finish line.
right? So that's how I feel now. Straight. That because when you turn 50, you have more concern where your destination than where around. Because, like I always said to my kids, you can fight with me, but you're getting stronger, and I'm not. So I don't feel like I need to be telling you what to do, because whatever I can tell you, will do it anyway. But you're not going to feel weak like me because my age. And that's my mindset. My family always think that I really love to fight. And yes, it was true. You cannot look at me two times, because I will ask you, do I know you? Do you miss something? Because I really didn't like. But now, if one day I like to fight, now I don't like to fight. No, not at all. If you look at me like 3 times, I will probably say, hi. Right? It's so different. But that took me a lot of work. Not want that environment. And if I don't want it for the other people, I don't want it with my kids.
Would you say that's something that you're proud of? That you have that different kind of experience, that instead of fighting, you have your peace?
Yes. And it's not just it's easy to say, I'm a peacemaker, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy to say. And yes, you can be, but peacekeeper is something different. And that I want to be that person. That's two things that I want to, I've been working on that. Because I really want a peacemaker, but most of all, be a peacekeeper.
What would you say you're most proud of for yourself?
I'm most proud of being able to process my emotions and alchemize my experiences. Turn the pain into purpose, the mess into a message. Yeah, that would be what I'm most proud of.
We've been together in Portugal, and we went to Paris and France. What do you think you'll take away from, and we've recorded this, what do you think you'll take away from these very short yet very rich 10 days we've had together.
I would take away the easefulness to it all. Like it was just everything was just, it really flowed. And the abundance that I felt, and really learning to embrace and continue to receive, like that it's safe to receive, that I'm deserving of great things, great experiences, great relationships. Yeah.
How about you, Mama?
Ponérmela más clara.
¿Qué se va a llevar de estos tiempos, de esta semana?
A lot. Like I always said, I'm very bad going into details. But there's a lot. Good. It's hard for me to just say one thing or a few things, but from the 10 days, I feel like I haven't been here just for 10 days. I've been here for more than 10 days, and that's because I feel so happy to be here and to share time with you, because this is the first time that I know you, right? And it's a process, because there's a lot, like I said to Ruby, I've been on my own for 19 years, and there's a lot that I need to process in my life being close to you. And I love the fact that you call me mom. I'm like, I don't know if I deserve you to call me mom. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I will, yeah. The Eiffel Tower has been for me something that probably the last 6 months it was like a crazy dream, and I think I probably never accomplished that desire in my heart without your help. You're being like an angel flying everywhere for us. I would probably, be how do you say, starving in Paris, and because I have great coffee and croissant.
Pan
and
de chocolat.
That was amazing. So thank you. Yeah.